And we are recording. Alright, so me and Baby Cakes just finished watching Les Miserables. Or Los Miserables.
Les Misérables.
Les Misérables. So, ever since we saw like the special where they would talk about the songs, you were dead set on watching it, right?
Yes.
I only like the song with Anne Hathaway, which is always they put in all the trailers, so I was expecting that. But the thing is, I wasn't expecting the whole movie to be sung.
You didn't know that?
I know it's a musical, but I was
It is a play that is a musical, so of course the movie of the play would be a musical, because to turn it into a spoken play would be taking it from the show-stopping Les Miserables and turning it into a puff piece. What do you call it? One of these puff piece,
fluffy.
No, one of these puff piece,
to make money.
I'm thinking of the word.
All I want to say is that Grease and Moulin Rouge don't have all. They have singing, but it's not everything is singing. Even Nightmare Before Christmas is like sometimes they'll talk and then they'll burst into song. But this was everything was singing. If there was a little bit of word like
from the moment it started, Les Miserables was a play that was sung. From opening curtain to closing curtain, it was sung. It is based on a book which was turned into a musical play. From the moment it opens to the moment it closes, it is sung. This is the way it was created. This is the way it's been played for I don't know how many years. This is the way it will always be played. And this is the way it will always be enjoyed.
It was long. It was 2 hours and 46 minutes? The runtime?
It was 2.5 hours. 2 hours, 37 minutes. And that is not that long.
I know. I mean, I could watch a Star Wars movie that'd be 3 hours long if it was good.
I'm not sitting through Star Wars for 3 hours. I'm not sitting through Star Wars for an hour and a half.
So, did you like the movie?
Yes.
It was. I admit it was good. There were some moments where my throat, swelled up. I think at the end.
Please.
I guess this is an old spoiler, but when Valjean passes away, that was kind of sad.
Please, I cry at everything. I've cried at romantic comedies, so I came ready to cry from opening to end. I cried from opening to end.
I did like the Sacha Baron Cohen and Helena Bonham Carter, the two con artists. They were funny.
Oh, please.
But they were.
You wanted to shoot them both every time they came onto the scene.
But it was good.
And it's funny, they had stolen in their time together as cons 10,000 times over what Jean Valjean stole, and yet they never really got caught and sentenced.
That's true.
Jean Valjean stole a loaf of bread to feed his dying nephew. He got 5 years in jail. Yes, he tried to escape. He was young and stupid. He got another 14 years tacked on. He spent 19 years in jail for stealing a loaf of bread and trying to escape.
Well, spoilers, but I liked when when Russell Crowe threw himself off the bridge. He landed just right. The body went crack, and I was like, "Ooh, shit hurt."
I thought there was a basin down there that he cracked his head on.
Yeah.
And it was just the water.
I thought it was an ocean, but it didn't look deep because
I thought there was a basin down there that he cracked his head on, and it was just the water.
But it's a good story. I think the little kid, the little girl, little Cosette, she's like, "Aw, like you want things to go good for her because they're treating her like crap." But meanwhile, the other daughter, which was being treated good, she ended
You don't
up being
get it. She was the Khan people's daughter. That was the Khan people's naturally born daughter, their little girl, their little princess. Meanwhile, Cosette was the child they took in to help a poor, alone mother who said she would pay for them to keep her. And what did they do? They turned Cosette into a servant's child. And their mother sent them, I don't know what it was, 10 somethings a month to keep her.
Well, the trailers from the other movie are starting to annoy me, so I guess let's wrap this up. Would you recommend watching the movie?
Yes.
I recommend watching it in the theater. I was incredibly packed, but if you're not like the kind that could withstand going to a movie theater, we had a bit of trouble getting seats because people had their coats.
It's the first days of the movie. Of course, everybody's going to want to see it because,
it came out last week.
Everybody knows Les Misérables. Everybody's read the book. And whoever hasn't read the book wants to see the dang movie or play.
I've never read the book.
To understand and maybe get into the book. But believe me,
I would recommend this movie, but I'm going to see if there's a version that doesn't have singing. I know there's one with Liam Neeson that came out a few years ago.
There's singing in it. I have seen every one
I want Les Misérables without singing.
I have seen every one of the Les Misérables, perhaps except for the original one, which was especially singing. But let me say this. This is the only one that compares to the book. This is the only one that is as colorful as the book is when you get into reading the book. If you're a reader, read the book. You will be biting your fingers down to nubs. It is that good.
I think it's a good story of redemption. Jean Valjean is he's a good character. He's even good to Javert, who, even though he like spares him 2 or 3 times, Javert is like, I don't care. At the end, he's finally like, I was gonna die, and he spared my life. Let me kill myself.
See, because Jean Valjean completely turned Javert's black and white life into a gray muddle in which Javert could not live.
And the priest did the same for Javert.
The priest, what the priest did for Jean Valjean was Jean Valjean took the silver from the monastery, the church, whatever it was, in order to have a decent life. When he was caught and returned, so that they could return the silver and then take him off and kill him, the priest said what he had said was true. He told the officers that it was given to him freely. And the priest also included those silver candelabra sticks, which were very, very expensive.
That's how he was able to set up his business.
That is how he was able to sell the silver, buy new papers, and start on his way to his empire. In being a very well-known, very wealthy, very generous businessman, as well as becoming the governor of a town.
The only thing that I didn't quite understand was why the other girl workers turned against, what's her name, Catwoman? They turned against Fran Cosette's mom. Like, the foreman was talking to her, and all of a sudden all the other girls are like, rah, rah, rah.
The reason they all turned against her is because he flirted with her. He was a man in more power than she. She didn't give in. She didn't sleep with him. She didn't flirt with him. She didn't try to have an easy ride by letting him give her an easy ride. she tried to do the right thing. She tried to support her child and make do with what she got after that.
But then the guys
they didn't like it. They didn't like it. Most of them had a husband and someone on the side. They didn't like it that she was playing Miss Perfect, Miss Prim, Miss Proper, and then she had a child she was hiding. And they wanted her out because, of course, no woman can be so prim, so proper, so
especially
good,
in France.
And
I'm sorry, French.
And have a child who she's breaking her back to support and doesn't see. Because in that world, women got by sleeping around. So she wouldn't do it. They wanted her out on her ass so that her child would die and she would suffer.
I was surprised by the turn of events, how she went from unemployed to hoe. It was like
she was selling her locket to get money to pay for her child's support.
The teeth thing, I was kind of like...
She sold her hair for 10 whatevers, which would have paid for the month for her daughter.
And then the teeth.
And then this other man offered her 10 whatevers for a tooth. He said he'd give a double if he took two, whatever the case. Then they talked her into being a prostitute.
But she only slept like with one guy.
Maybe more, but they don't show more.
Yeah, the passage of time is kind of weird.
The thing is that she was sickly, she was cold, she was frail. By the time Jean Valjean came across her and realized what had happened and took the initiative to save her, even though he was too late, she died in the hospital. But he felt he had to repay a debt to her and take care of her daughter.
People die of mysterious diseases here. Like, I don't know what she died from.
In the 1800s.
I don't know what she died of. I don't know what Hugh Jackman died of. But anyway, it's a good movie.
Hugh Jackman died of old age.
Alright. That's the thing. The passage of time, unless they tell you 9 years later, 10 years later, I feel like it takes place all in a day.
Listen. Say he went to jail at 19. 19 years more puts him at 38. 38, he gets out. He steals the silver, gets given the silver, goes off and does his thing. 10 years later, he's a businessman and a governor of a small town in France.
He meets Cosette's mom, and then he goes to get Cosette, and then like 20 years later.
No, then it's like 9. Then it's like 10 years later. Wait, because it was 10 years after he stole the silver. And then another 10 years later, when Cosette is just about grown up, he does what he does to save the boy who fell in love with her, who she fell in love with, and then he dies from old age. Why? Because he was 38, 10 years later is 48, 10 years later is 58, after everything he'd been through. His body was worn, his spirit and soul were so tired, and he was weakened so much that he passed away of age, of consumption.
So I recommend, if you don't like crowded movie theaters, wait for this on DVD. I mean, if you like musicals, wait for it on DVD. Me, I'm gonna go see if I find a unsingy version. But Baby Capes loves it. She recommends the theater, right? Go see it in the theater.
Of course.
Right.
At least this version.
This is Sweetie Bear and Baby Cake signing out. This is the longest we've ever done a video. 14 minutes.